The idea begun by the French in the 1790s would reach its full potential in the vast armies and universal conscription of World War I. In France, men willingly served in the army because the state made them citizens. By World War I, this idea was universally accepted, and every able-bodied male citizen was called to arms. The French army was now based firmly on the notion of equality. Soldiers could rise through the ranks by their talent and ability, rather than social class. This meant that the best soldiers became officers, giving the French army the advantage over opponents who considered aristocratic birth an officer's main qualification. The most talented of them was a young Corsican artillery officer, Napoleon Bonaparte. His success on the battlefield was phenomenal. And in 1804, at the age of 35, he proclaimed himself Emperor of France.
Napoleon had a Roman relentlessness and ruthlessness. He was, in a way, a reincarnation of Rome 1,000 years or more after the empire had died. He benefited from the transformation of France into a war-making state immediately after the Revolution. The Revolution turned France into a war-making state.
In Napoleon, the post-revolutionary army found a military genius. Although Napoleon's army was no longer a revolutionary force, it was still an army of Frenchmen, sons of their nation and inspired by their leader. Napoleon continued to promote the best men, regardless of birth. Of his 26 most senior officers before 1789, 4 were sergeants, 3 were privates, and 1 was a bandsman. One of these, Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte, ended his career as King of Sweden. Radical new officers created radical new ways of running an army. In 1792, the Revolutionary Army created the first combat division, a miniature army of a few thousand men. It combined infantry, cavalry, and artillery, and could operate independently or with other divisions. The divisional system is used today in the U.S. Army and Marines. Napoleon perfected the system. He subdivided his army into individual corps, each with its own commander and responsibility. This is how Napoleon was able to move huge armies quickly. Jean-Pierre Blaise, a corps officer, made a lightning march from the northern coast of France across Europe to Vienna and Austerlitz in 1805.
We were ordered to leave all unnecessary possessions at the depot, so we would be burdened with as little as possible. The rapidity of our march did not permit food supplies to follow us, but we were able to do without bread because we were in the midst of the best season for potatoes in a country where they are very good. How many times did we ruin the villagers' hopes? We stole the product of a year's work.
The speed and foraging skills of Jean-Pierre and his comrades allowed Napoleon to march 500 miles in 5 weeks. Arriving in the east with unexpected speed, Napoleon took the Austrians and the Russians by surprise, easily capturing Vienna and Austerlitz. By the end of 1805, Napoleon Bonaparte was the master of the European mainland.